Let me tell you something that maybe no one else has dared to say. Every single day you're making choices that shape your life, and most of the time you don't even realize it. I'm fine like this. I don't have time. Maybe later. Sound familiar? Those little phrases are like bricks building a wall between you and the life you truly want. Now here's the question. Will you keep being your own obstacle in 2025? Or will this be the year everything changes? In this video, I'll show you how to completely transform your life once and for all. But this isn't about empty resolutions or magic formulas. We're diving into timeless principles, practical tools, and Stoic teachings that have helped countless people, from ancient philosophers to those seeking a fuller, more meaningful life today. And I know what you might be thinking. Can something so old really change my life now? My friend, the answer is a resounding yes. I'm going to share 10 rules that could be the difference between just another year and the best year of your life. Are you ready to start living your best life today? Before we go any further, let me share a story that will show you how even in your darkest moments, you can find the strength to transform your life. Once upon a time, there was a young man who seemed to have it all. Born into a wealthy and powerful family, he was surrounded by luxuries and privileges most people could only dream of. Wise teachers, endless banquets, and the promise of a future filled with glory. From the outside, his life looked perfect, but inside, it was complete chaos. This young man was fighting an invisible battle. Every morning he woke up with the same feeling of emptiness. It was as if he were performing in a play where someone else had written the script. People called him destined for greatness, but he didn't feel like it. The weight of everyone's expectations was crushing. He was supposed to be strong, ruthless, a leader. But deep down, he felt weak, full of doubts, and constantly afraid he wasn't good enough. And then the blow came. A betrayal from someone he trusted deeply. Whispers of rumors and distrust began to spread. He could have reacted with rage, sought revenge, or lashed out at those who wronged him. But instead he did something unexpected. That night, while the world slept, he sat alone in the dim light of his room. A single candle flickered, illuminating the parchment in front of him. He began to write. He poured out his fears, his doubts, and what he truly wanted. And then a thought struck him. You have power over your mind, not over external events. Realize this, and you will find strength. In that quiet moment, under the soft glow of the candlelight, he understood something profound. He couldn't control the betrayals, his family's expectations, or the chaos of the world. But he could govern himself. That young man wasn't just anyone. He was Marcus Aurelius, the same man who would go on to face brutal wars, devastating plagues, and relentless criticism during his reign. But what made him great wasn't his title as emperor. It was his ability to apply Stoicism, even in the darkest times. When chaos surrounded him, Marcus Aurelius didn't seek revenge or point fingers. He responded with calm, acted with justice, and stayed true to his values, refusing to let fear or anger consume him. Now tell me, my friend, how many times have you felt the weight of the world pressing down on your shoulders? What if, like Marcus Aurelius, you chose to turn that chaos into strength and purpose? This could be your moment. Are you ready? Let's begin. 1. Your goals start with a pencil. My friend, be honest with yourself. Do you know where you want to go, or are you just letting life carry you along? If you don't know your destination, everything becomes more complicated. Listen, your goals are like a map. Without them, it's like wandering aimlessly through a forest, getting lost on paths that lead nowhere. And in the end, what happens? You waste time, drain your energy, and end up stuck in the same place as always. Let me give you the best advice to help you achieve everything you set your mind to. It might sound simple, but it's powerful. Write down your goals. Yes, it might seem like basic advice, right? But hear me out. I'm not talking about making just any list, like a shopping list. I'm talking about taking your dreams and turning them into a clear plan. Because when you don't write down your goals, what happens? They stay as vague ideas floating around in your head. Epictetus said it centuries ago, and it's just as true today. First, decide who you want to be. Then, do what you need to do. Think about it. How can you take action if you don't even know where you're headed? Now, apply that lesson to your life. Write down not only what you want to achieve, but also who you need to become to make it happen. Because it's not just about the results, it's about the process that transforms you. Do you want to know the impact of writing down your goals? Let me tell you about a young woman who had just graduated from one of the most prestigious universities in the world. She could have followed the traditional path, gotten a stable job, lived a comfortable life. But she didn't. Do you know why? Because she had one thing clear. Her goals weren't just dreams, they were her action plan. That young woman is Grace Beverly, an entrepreneur who, by the age of 25, had already built an empire. How did she do it? It wasn't luck, extraordinary talent, or magical connections. It was her ability to write down what she wanted and break it into concrete steps. In her podcast, Grace talks about how the simple act of writing her goals was the starting point that changed everything. But don't think she wrote down vague ideas like, "I want to be successful," or "Someday I'll start my own business." No, my friend. She wrote down exactly what she wanted to achieve and how she would do it, step by step. Every day, she knew what she had to do to move closer to her goals. She had designed her own roadmap to success. Now imagine this. You want to save money this year. Sounds easy, right? But here's the key question. Have you written down how much you want to save, how you're going to do it, and why? Because if you haven't, that goal will remain just an idea in the air. So how do you make it happen? First, write down a clear number. Second, break that goal into smaller steps. How much do you need to save each month? Then think, what adjustments can you make to your expenses? Could you cut back on eating out, cook more at home, or avoid impulse purchases? And third, write down your why. Maybe you want that money to travel, invest, or gain financial security. Writing it down gives you clarity and motivation. What's the next step? Divide your goal into sections. For example, if your goal is to save, create a page for expenses to cut, another for additional income, and one more for monthly progress. This will not only help you stay organized, but also allow you to see every small achievement. And that, my friend, will give you the momentum you need to keep going. It's not about becoming an accountant. It's about making your goal tangible. And don't forget, writing your goals once and forgetting them isn't enough. Review them every week. Ask yourself, am I making progress? What can I adjust? Goals aren't rigid. They're guides you can refine over time. Your goals aren't distant dreams. They're the first step toward designing your best self. Trust me, when you put your goals on paper, you start writing your own story. And what better story than one where you achieve everything you set out to do? Write your life the way you want to live it. 2. Take back control of your life. I'm sure this sounds familiar. That person who always has an excuse for everything. When something goes wrong, it's never their fault. It's the boss who doesn't understand, the traffic that makes them late, the weather that ruins their plans. I remember a friend who was exactly like that. Every conversation with him was a parade of complaints and blame directed at everything and everyone. "The world is against me," he'd say. But there was one thing he never asked himself. What if the problem wasn't the world, but how he was dealing with it? Until one day, after months of feeling stuck, something clicked. I remember it perfectly. We were having coffee, and suddenly, he went silent. He stared at his cup as if he'd found something at the bottom and said, "You know what? I think the problem is me. It's not the boss, the traffic, or anything else. It's me and how I'm handling everything." That day I reminded him of a phrase I'd read long ago, one that had left a deep impression on me. You have power over your mind, not over external events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Sound familiar? It's the one I shared at the start. Marcus Aurelius. From that moment on, things began to change for him. No, the world didn't suddenly become easier, but he became stronger. He started focusing on what he could control and stopped worrying about what was beyond his reach. And the interesting thing, he seemed calmer, more confident in himself. And are you letting things you can't control dictate your day? You don't need to answer me, I'm pretty sure you are. Tell me, what would happen if, instead of fighting against what's out of your hands, you started focusing on what is within your control? That's the key to completely transforming your life. Let's be clear, life will always have chaos. The world isn't going to align itself just so you can have a good day. But this is where you can take back control. Imagine if Marcus Aurelius lived today. He'd probably be horrified to see us constantly checking our phones every 5 minutes. He'd likely say something like, turn off the phone and take charge of your life. And he'd be absolutely right. So where can you start? It's simpler than you think. First, make a list of what you want to change. Write it down, as we talked about in the first point. But here's the crucial part. Split that list into 2 columns. On one side, write what's within your control. On the other, what isn't. You'll see that many of the things you worry about aren't up to you, and that's okay. Learn to let them go. Second, take 5 minutes a day to reflect on what happened and how you reacted. For example, think about that moment when someone cut you off in traffic. Did you get angry and let it ruin your mood for the rest of the day? Or that offhand comment you heard at work. Did you take it personally or just let it slide? Maybe you remember an argument with a friend or family member. How did you handle it? The key isn't in what happens, but in how you choose to respond. Those 5 minutes are your chance to learn about yourself, to identify patterns, and to decide if you want to act differently next time. Trust me, they can mean the difference between feeling overwhelmed by the day or empowered to face whatever tomorrow brings. My friend, taking control doesn't mean everything will be easy, but it does mean you'll be stronger. What are you waiting for to completely transform your life this year? Because if you don't take the reins of your life, someone else will. Before we continue, if you're finding value in this content, consider subscribing and becoming an exclusive member to unlock unique benefits. And let us know in the comments, what change will you make today to completely transform your life? We'd love to hear how you plan to take the first step toward your best self. 3. Discipline what you need, not what you want. My friend, I'm going to ask you for a small favor. Don't worry, it's not money or help painting my house. It's this. Be honest before you answer. Tell me the truth. How many times have you skipped doing something because you just didn't feel like it? Getting up early, starting a workout, reading that book that's been sitting on your list for months. You probably thought, tomorrow, I'll feel motivated for sure. But let me ask you, what happened when tomorrow arrived? Spoiler, nothing. Because it's not about motivation, it's about discipline. Do you think Kobe Bryant woke up every single day eager to train at 4 in the morning? Of course not. But he did it anyway. He said his success wasn't about talent. It was about his relentless routine. Or think about the Stoics. If they were alive today, do you think they'd stop because it was cold or their bed was too cozy? Not a chance. They would do what needed to be done. As Seneca said, the man who lives under his passions is a slave. The one who lives under discipline is free. Did you know that turning your dreams into reality isn't magic? It's biology. Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist at Stanford, explains it brilliantly. Listen to this. Every time you repeat an action, no matter how small, you're training your brain as if it were a muscle. You're literally creating new neural connections. And here's the best part. You don't need to do anything grand or perfect. You just need to start small. Even a habit as simple as dedicating 5 minutes a day to something can snowball into something much bigger. Repeat it, stick with it, and your brain will do the rest. It's science, not luck. Think about this. When you're watching your favorite show, the one you're totally hooked on, you tell yourself, just 5 more minutes. And before you know it, 30 minutes have flown by because you're enjoying it so much. Sound familiar? Now imagine taking those same 5 minutes and putting them toward a habit you want to build. Reading, exercising, meditating, whatever it is. 5 minutes a day, every day. Do it today, tomorrow, and the day after. At first, it might feel small, but those 5 minutes are incredibly powerful. Over time, surprise, you've built a habit. I know. You're probably thinking, but what if in that moment I just want to… Shh, stop right there. This isn't about what you want. It's about what you need to transform your life and achieve what you truly desire. To show you how simple it can be, let's use an example. You want to improve your fitness, but you never seem to find the right time to start. Try this. Today, go for a 5-minute walk. Just 5 minutes. Tomorrow, do it again. By next week, you might feel like walking 10 minutes. And before you know it, that habit will become your bridge to reaching your goals. Just like with your favorite show, before you even realize it, you'll want to dedicate more time to it. And don't get it twisted. Discipline doesn't take away your freedom. On the contrary, it gives you freedom. Because when you're disciplined, you choose what to do with your life instead of being controlled by what others expect of you or what you feel like doing in the moment. So, what are you waiting for? This is your year, your moment to transform yourself. Don't leave it in the hands of motivation, because motivation is unreliable. Discipline, on the other hand, is what will take you far. It's your best ally for achieving everything you've ever wanted. For the real secret, consistency. My friend, we just talked about how discipline is essential to get started. But here's the real secret. Without consistency, discipline means nothing. It's like starting to fill a bucket with water and stopping before it's full. Every drop counts, even if it doesn't seem like it at first. But if you give up, how do you expect the bucket to fill itself? Consistency works like compound interest. Every small effort adds up and multiplies over time, even if you don't notice it right away. Have you ever tried to learn something new, like playing an instrument? At first, it feels impossible. Notes sound wrong, your fingers won't cooperate, and everything seems like a mess. It's easy to get frustrated and want to quit. But here's the secret. If you dedicate a little time every day, even just 5 minutes, something changes. Slowly, those small moments of practice turn into real progress. Think about the Stoics for a moment. Picture Seneca in a yoga class trying a complicated pose, wobbling and falling over. What do you think he'd do? Would he throw in the towel and never come back? Of course not. He'd get up, take a deep breath, and try again. Why? Because progress doesn't come from getting it perfect on the first try. It comes from being consistent, and he knew that well. Pay attention, because here's the key. Consistency is what turns effort into habit. Do you think you need big changes? You don't. Just small steps every day. If one day you don't have 20 minutes to work on something, don't skip it entirely. Spend 5 minutes. What matters isn't the amount of time, it's keeping the cycle going. Those small actions are like drops in the bucket, insignificant on their own, but powerful when they add up. Trust me, you'll notice the difference. And yes, I know life doesn't always cooperate. Some days get complicated. Unexpected things come up, and there are moments when you feel completely drained. That's normal. It happens to all of us. But listen, there's a simple rule that can make all the difference. Never let 2 days in a row go by without working on your habit. Did you miss one day? Don't stress. But if you let it turn into 2 days, you're opening the door to losing your momentum. It's like leaving an empty space on your calendar that starts to grow. And that empty space, it's the enemy of consistency. Want some practical advice? Track your progress. It can be a journal, an app, or even a note on your phone. Write down what you did today, even if it was something small. For example, I walked for 10 minutes today, or I learned 2 new phrases in a language. Seeing your progress, no matter how small, will give you a sense of achievement and motivate you to keep going. And don't forget this important point. Consistency is not perfection. It's perseverance. It's about getting up every day and taking one more step, even if it's a small one, even when you don't see immediate results. Because in the end, the results always come. As Seneca said, consistency is patience in action. And that patience, my friend, is the bridge to your transformation. It's not about instant results. It's about showing up every day. Every small effort you make today is an investment in the future you want to create. 5. Treat your time like a treasure. If today were your last day, what would you do differently? Would you spend it binging that show that keeps you glued to the couch? Would you scroll endlessly through Instagram stories, afraid to miss out on what everyone else is doing? Would you get upset because, of all days, it had to rain on your last one? I don't think so. Do you know what I believe? You'd make the most of it. Maybe you'd finally say yes to that project you've been putting off for months. Maybe you'd spend more time with the people you love. Or maybe you'd stop worrying about unimportant things and go for a walk by the sea. Now think, why wait for the last day to live like that? It's strange, isn't it? Only when we feel time slipping away do we understand its true value. But here's the truth, my friend. Your time is already limited. Every passing day is like spending a gold coin. Are you investing it in something worthwhile? Or are you letting it slip away without a second thought? If you truly want to transform your life, the first step is to start treating your time for what it is, your most precious treasure. But here's the problem. We often waste it without even realizing it. Hours spent on social media, watching random videos or checking notifications that are mostly ads. It's like having a chest full of gold coins and tossing them away one by one without a care. But watch out, your treasure chest isn't infinite. Marcus Aurelius put it plainly, live each day as if it were your last. He understood that time is irretrievable, which is why he acted with intention. Marcus Aurelius didn't waste his time on trivial things. He focused on what truly mattered. If you take this lesson to heart, you can start transforming your life right now. Because when you value your time, you begin to direct it toward what's truly important. Want to know how to start treating your time like the treasure it is? First, let's figure out how you're wasting it. Come on, don't resist. Unlock your phone and check how much time you spend on it every day. Be honest with yourself. If you find that hours are slipping away on things that don't add value, you've just identified your first task. Reclaim those hours. Second, use a calendar, but don't fill it with meaningless commitments. Learn to distinguish between events and tasks. Events are meetings or one-time activities. Tasks, on the other hand, are concrete actions that bring you closer to your goals. Here's the trick. Block out time in your calendar for those tasks as if they were appointments with someone important. Because spoiler, there's no one more important than you. And don't forget something essential. Your time also includes space for yourself. Don't cram every minute with work or responsibilities. Reserve moments to disconnect, to reflect, to simply be with yourself. Treating your time like a treasure doesn't mean exploiting it. It means balancing it. Remember what we've talked about. Taking back control of your life is possible, but it requires setting boundaries. Learn to say no to things that don't add value. Not everything deserves your time, and that's okay. My friend, your time is your greatest treasure, and you're spending it whether you like it or not. The question is, are you investing it in building the life you want, or are you letting it slip away? Transformation starts here, when you decide to use each day with intention, as if it truly were your last. 6. Tell me who you're with. Have you ever stopped to think if the people in your life are helping you move forward, or holding you back? Maybe that's been your problem all along, and you just didn't realize it. Your inner circle might be the very thing that's keeping you stuck. Think about it. Do you have someone who's always complaining, always finding problems, someone who seems to enjoy tearing your ideas apart? If this sounds familiar, it might be time to make a change. Tell me who you're with, and I'll tell you who you are. Isn't just a clever saying, it's reality. The people you spend the most time with directly influence how you think, how you act, and where you're headed in life. Don't believe me? Picture someone who spends all their time surrounded by negativity. Gradually, they start seeing the world through the same lens until they stop trying altogether. Here's how I see it. The people who lift you up are like the sun to a sunflower. They nourish you, help you grow, and guide you toward the light. But the people who hold you back are like a constant shadow blocking the sun. Or if you prefer, think of it the way Alex Rovira Kelma does. Some people are wings and others are anchors. Wings lift you, inspire you, and help you soar higher. Anchors, on the other hand, drag you down, hold you back, and keep you stuck in the same place. Now, take a moment to reflect. Who in your life are the wings and who are the anchors? Picture this scenario. You have a dream, like starting your own business. You're super excited, but all you hear from the people around you is, "That's not going to work," or "You should go for something safer." Each comment feels like another stone in your backpack. How are you supposed to move forward like that? Now, change the scene. Imagine a group of people who say, "That sounds amazing, how can I help?" Or, "I've tried that too, let me share my experience." That difference, my friend, can transform your life. So, what can you do to start surrounding yourself with wings instead of anchors? First, do a little audit of your relationships. Yes, like you're an inspector. Think about the 5 people you spend the most time with. Do they inspire you, support you, push you to be better? Or are they more like a weight dragging you down? It's a simple but revealing exercise. You don't have to cut anyone off abruptly, but start prioritizing the people who genuinely help you grow. Spend your time and energy on those relationships that nurture you, and set boundaries with those that hold you back. No need for a big announcement. You just need to know where to invest your time wisely. Next, find your tribe. Because, my friend, you don't have to do this alone. If you want to start a business, surround yourself with entrepreneurs. If you want to learn something new, connect with people who share your interests. These days, there are no excuses. There are book clubs, online forums, local events. The opportunities to connect with people who share your values and goals are endless. And here's the most important part. Be the one to take the first step. If you want to surround yourself with better people, don't wait for them to come to you. Take the initiative. Invite someone you admire for a coffee, send a message to that group you're interested in, or show up at an event. Sometimes change begins with something as simple as saying, "Hi, how are you?" The most valuable connections often start in the most unexpected ways. Remember, as Seneca said, surround yourself with those who can make you better. Because surrounding yourself with the right people doesn't just improve your day, it can transform your entire life. Now tell me, are you ready to choose your company more wisely? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear how you plan to surround yourself with wings, not anchors. 7. Change your mindset, change your destiny. Let me tell you a story that starts with a dream come true and ends with a devastating disaster. Lucas was a chef who had worked his entire life to open his own restaurant. He finally made it. The tables were always full, the customers were happy, and his business was thriving. But one day, everything changed. Boom! A hurricane tore through his city, and in a matter of hours, his restaurant was reduced to rubble. His dreams, his hard work, everything seemed lost. Devastating, right? What would you do in his place? Most people would have given up. But Lucas wasn't like most people. With the little he managed to salvage, a table, a few pots, and his determination, he turned his living room into an improvised kitchen. From there, he started cooking takeout meals. He didn't have money for big campaigns, so he turned to social media. With homemade photos and heartfelt messages, he offered delicious meals. The result? The community rallied around him. People who had never tried his food started buying and recommending it. What seemed like an ending became a new beginning. Today, Lucas not only rebuilt his business but created something much bigger. He now has several food stands across the country. His story is a reminder that even the worst storms can hide opportunities. Because, my friend, here's a secret. Your attitude is your compass. You can't control what happens around you, but you can control how you choose to face it. As Henry Kaiser once said, "Problems are only opportunities in work clothes." It's a fancy way of saying that the challenges you face can become the foundation of your success, if you have the courage to act. Epictetus put it another way. We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. That's exactly what Lucas did. He didn't dwell on what he had lost. He focused on what he could do with what he had. That mindset, my friend, doesn't just change the way you think. It changes your destiny. Imagine you're in the same town you've always been in, surrounded by the same things. You feel stuck, like life isn't moving forward. You think everything should come to you. The perfect opportunity, the ideal moment, the magical conditions to start something new. But my friend, what if the problem isn't in what surrounds you, but in how you see it? Opportunities don't fall from the sky. They're sought, worked for, and created. Changing your mindset is what opens doors. If you keep seeing the world as a trap, you'll never find the way out. Now, I want you to think about something. What challenge are you facing right now? Do this exercise. Write down one adjective to describe that problem. Is it frustrating? Overwhelming? Now flip it around and find something positive. Could it be exciting? A chance to grow? Changing how you see the problem could be the first step toward solving it. Also, every night, write down 3 positive things that happened during your day. They don't have to be big. Maybe you laughed at a meme or you enjoyed a sunny moment. This practice trains your mind to focus on the good, even when things seem tough. Because in the end, your mind is a lens. Adjust it well, and you'll see opportunities where others see only problems. It's not magic, it's practice. It's choosing every day to see the glass half full, even when it seems empty. And that choice changes everything. Now tell me, what are you willing to change in your mindset to transform your destiny? 8. Flow with the changes. What if I told you that changing your mindset isn't enough? Yes, it's an important step, but there's something else you need. Learning to flow with whatever life throws at you. Think about this. Change is like a river's current. You can stay still, resisting, and let it drag you as you struggle. Or you can move with it, adapt, and use that same current to propel yourself forward. Which option do you think will take you further? If you're here, it's because you want to transform your life, but you're still clinging to the same old things. You're holding on to what's familiar. But listen, nothing changes if nothing changes. It's like being a ship anchored in the harbor, afraid to set sail into open waters. And while you stay there, motionless, watching the waves pass by, opportunities drift further away. How long will you let yourself stay stuck? As the Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi said, flow with whatever may happen and let your mind be free. You know what you should do? Set this phrase as your phone's wallpaper or write it somewhere you'll see it every day. Because this isn't about giving up. It's about adapting. It's about stopping the fight against the inevitable and learning to use it to your advantage. Flow, my friend, flow. Picture Marcus Aurelius facing the storms of his time. Wars, betrayals, plagues. He didn't waste time wishing things were different. He knew he couldn't change the wind, but he could adjust his sails. Accept with serenity whatever fate brings you, he wrote, and that's the essence of flowing with change. It doesn't mean letting the world drag you along. It means learning how to move with it. Accepting change isn't easy, I get it. It's scary. But think about this. Life doesn't wait. It changes constantly, whether you like it or not. So why resist? Think of a surfer facing a wave. If they fight the current, they'll get knocked down. But if they flow with the wave, they can turn that same force into momentum. That's exactly what you need to do. Put yourself in this situation. One day, you arrive at work, and they tell you your position has been eliminated. It's a tough blow, isn't it? Your first instinct might be anger, resistance, or frustration. But what if instead, you decide to flow with the situation? You think, okay, this isn't what I expected, but what can I do now? You use the time to update your resume, take a course you've always wanted, and connect with people in your industry. Instead of getting stuck in the why me, you move forward with the what can I do, and the best part, that unexpected change could lead to a much better opportunity. So, how can you apply this to your life? First, prepare for the unexpected with a plan B. Do you have an important goal? Think about what you'd do if things don't go as planned. For example, if you're looking for a new job but haven't found the ideal one yet, what intermediate steps could you take? Having an alternative plan doesn't mean you're expecting failure. It means you're ensuring you'll keep moving forward. Second, always look for the lesson in change. Did a relationship end? Ask yourself what it taught you. Did a project fail? Reflect on what you could do differently next time. Every change, no matter how uncomfortable, brings a lesson, but it's up to you to find it. Third, focus on your core values. Flowing with change doesn't mean losing sight of who you are. On the contrary, your values are what keep you grounded amidst the movement. Think of them as the roots of a tree. The wind may bend it, but it won't be uprooted if its roots run deep. Don't fear change. Embrace it, because that's where the magic happens. Changing your mindset helps you see opportunities, but learning to flow with change is what allows you to seize them. So, catch the wave, adjust your sails, and remember, the greatest achievements are born when we stop resisting life's movement. 9. Never stop learning. Have you ever heard the story of the fox and the hedgehog? It begins with an energetic fox and a wise hedgehog living in the same forest. The fox was known for his cleverness and boundless energy. He darted here and there, always trying new things. One day exploring a valley, the next searching for food on a hill. He knew a little about everything and always had a plan for any situation. But his knowledge, while broad, was shallow. The hedgehog, on the other hand, was calm and methodical. He spent his days exploring the same terrain, observing carefully, and perfecting his skills in finding food and staying safe. He didn't move quickly or explore as much as the fox, but what he knew, he mastered completely. One day, a great storm hit the forest. The wind tore down trees, the river overflowed, and the landscape changed entirely. The fox, with his energy and curiosity, ran off to explore new areas but quickly got lost because his knowledge was too scattered. The hedgehog, though he knew everything about his small territory, was trapped because his entire world had been altered. Now tell me, which one are you? Are you the fox, who knows a little about everything but never goes deep? Or the hedgehog, who masters his domain but doesn't dare to explore beyond it? Perhaps the real key is to be a mix of both, because as Epictetus said, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. So what should you do to learn more? Keep the fox's curiosity to discover new things, but pair it with the hedgehog's depth to master what truly matters. My friend, life doesn't stop, and neither should you. When was the last time you learned something new? Something that made you see things from a different perspective? Here's the truth. Constant learning is what keeps you growing. Do you know what sets a mediocre person apart from someone who stands out? The willingness to keep learning. Pau Casals, the legendary composer and cellist, understood this. In one of his final interviews when he was 95 years old, yes, you heard that right, 95, he shared a powerful insight. Casals, already considered one of the greatest musicians in history, still practiced 6 hours a day. A young journalist, surprised, asked him, "Why do you do it? Why keep practicing so much when you're already a master?" With the calm wisdom of someone who truly valued learning, Casals replied, "Because I think I'm still making progress." That's powerful, isn't it? A man who had reached the pinnacle of his art wasn't satisfied. He didn't see learning as something that ended with age or success. He saw it as a lifelong journey. That's the attitude we should all adopt. Because it doesn't matter how old you are, how skilled you've become, or how many achievements you've collected. There's always something new to learn, a way to improve, another step to take. So, what are you waiting for to start learning something new? This is one of the most essential rules for completely transforming your life this year. Dedicate 15 minutes a day to learning. It could be reading a book, listening to a podcast, or simply practicing a skill you want to improve. And if you can, teach what you learn. Don't underestimate the power of sharing your knowledge. Did you know that when you explain something to someone, your brain works twice as hard? On one hand, you organize the information to communicate it, and on the other, you reinforce what you've learned within yourself. It's a cycle where everyone wins. You learn better, and the other person gains something valuable. Because, in the end, learning isn't just about gathering information. It's about growing. It's about transforming yourself. And remember this: only those who stop learning stop moving forward. After everything we've discussed, I want you to think about this. Every decision you make, every habit you choose, every change you embrace is building the life you'll live tomorrow. Now imagine for a moment what it would be like if you gave it your all. If every day you lived with purpose, with intention, as if it were your best opportunity. What could you achieve? What's coming next might just be the detail that changes everything. Stay tuned. It's worth it. 10. Live with gratitude, not expectation. Let me tell you a story. Once there was a farmer who, after months of working the land, faced a terrible drought. He looked at his dry fields with frustration, waiting for the skies to bring a storm that would save his crops. But the days passed, and the rain never came. Desperate, he sat by his field and thought, all this effort, for what? An old wise man from the village saw him and approached. "What are you doing sitting here?" he asked. "I'm waiting for the rain," replied the farmer. The old man smiled and said, "Get up. Look at what you already have. Be thankful for the tools, the seeds, the sun that still shines. Use what's in your hands and keep working. The rain will come when the time is right." It's a simple story, but a powerful one, don't you think? You've probably been there too, spending your life waiting for the perfect opportunity, the ideal moment, or the right person. But here's the key. While you're waiting, you lose sight of what you already have. And what you have, if you make the most of it, is enough to start building the life you want. Maybe you're thinking, how is saying thank you all the time going to change anything? Let me tell you, that's where you're wrong. Gratitude isn't just saying thank you. It's a way of living. It's looking around and realizing everything that's already there for you, even when things aren't perfect. Marcus Aurelius understood this well when he wrote, "Do not dream of the things you don't have. Instead, recognize the blessings of what you do possess. Then remember with gratitude how you would long for them if they were not yours." Think of gratitude as a flashlight. When the path is dark, you don't have to wait for the sun to rise. You can turn on that light and start walking. It doesn't matter if the road is long or difficult. With every step you take, you'll get closer to where you want to be. My friend, don't make the same mistake so many people do, thinking gratitude is only for when things are going well. It's in the difficult moments when you need it the most. Because when you practice gratitude, you focus on what you have instead of waiting for what's missing. It's a shift in perspective that can transform your life. But here's the truth. Living with gratitude doesn't mean settling. It doesn't mean sitting back and thinking everything is fine just as it is. It means recognizing your blessings and using them as a foundation to build something greater. It's saying, I'm grateful for what I have, but I'll work for what I want. So, here's a challenge for you. Take action on your gratitude. Think of someone who has done something for you recently. It could be something small, like offering you advice or simply listening. Take a moment to send them a message, call them, or thank them in person. Not only will you feel more connected to others, but you will also experience the sense of fulfillment that comes from sharing your appreciation. And one more thing. Live in the present. So often we spend our lives waiting for something to happen to make us happy. How many times have you said, when I get that job, when I have more money, when everything is perfect? But here's the wake-up call. Happiness isn't in the when, it's in the now. If you decide to live with gratitude today, you'll start noticing you already have more than you thought. Never forget, make gratitude your way of life. No matter how many storms you face, there's always something to be thankful for. And the more you practice this attitude, the more transformative it will be. Because in the end, living with gratitude doesn't just make you appreciate what you have, it frees you from the weight of expectations and allows you to move forward with lightness. Now tell me, what are you grateful for today? Share it in the comments and spread that light with others. Today, you hold the opportunity to change in your hands. It doesn't matter where you are or what you've been through. Every small step you take can bring you closer to the life you want. Remember, transforming your life isn't about luck, it's about choices. And those choices start here, now, with you. The path is in front of you. Will you take the next step? If you've made it this far, write in the comments, "I'm ready to transform." That way, I'll know who the true Stoic warriors are who made it to the end. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give this video a like so you don't miss out on what's coming next. I also invite you to check out our playlist, which you'll see on the screen. It's packed with ideas, stories, and advice to help you navigate life with more wisdom and confidence. Click it, and let's keep moving forward together. Until next time, take care and keep embracing your inner Stoic.